Hi, my name is Colin Hill and welcome to the Colin Hill Swims YouTube channel. Once again, I'm talking about open water swimming and I'm going to focus in on something in the UK which is happening called SH2OUT. Now, SH2OUT is a joint initiative between British Triathlon, obviously Swim Bike Run Federation, and the RLSS, which is the Royal Lifesaving Society. Now, the Royal Lifesaving Society is a charity for the prevention of drowning in the UK. I want to talk through SH2OUT's mission statement, which has got me a little bit concerned, and I've been speaking to a few other people about this as well in the last few weeks. And I just think that, myself as an open water swimmer and an open water swim event organizer, and the general open water swimming community should just be aware about what this is and what's going on, and whether they too feel like they should ask a few more questions about it. So this is their mission statement off the website. So British Triathlon and the Royal Lifesaving Society UK recognise the growth of open water swimming and the need to develop its existing infrastructure to ensure a safe, enjoyable environments for new and existing swimmers. So there's a few things there which immediately jump out at me, which I want to discuss a little bit more, and why I feel a little bit concerned about it. And I'm also going to talk through their 5 key strategic objectives, which you can find on their website, and I'll put the link down below on the YouTube description. Before getting to all this, I just want to say that I know there's people involved in SH2OUT which are very genuine and they've got the best interests, they feel, of open water swimming at their heart. And so I'm sure that there's nothing malicious here at all, but perhaps I feel it's a little bit of overreach and duplication, and at times just either copying or something is already existing in the open water swimming community, which perhaps they're just not aware of. Before I go into SH2OUT, I'll quickly go through something which has got some similarities, just some, which I'm sure some of you are already aware of. Now, there was a couple of individuals in Scotland which tried to set up something called the Scottish Open Water Swimming Association. Now, their main goals, I'll just go off some notes here, was to gather open water swimmers, coaches, event organisers, boat pilots, health and safety professionals, landowners, local and national tourism bodies, relevant heritage and conservation bodies, with the aim of promoting and growing safe open water swimming in Scotland. But across the country, open water swimmers were very nervous and slightly skeptical about this, about the motivation behind it, and just felt that it was basically unnecessary. Scotland itself has got amazing open access anyway, and there's already, I'm going to talk in my video, there's already groups that exist. And so, a lot of opposition was brought forward from the British Long Distance Swim Association and the Open Water Swimming Society, and the whole thing was completely dropped in February 2018. But you can see there how somebody came along and was trying to do something which was going to cover all of open water swimming, and everything was going to have to be funneled through this association for approval, and they were going to set standards and guidelines. And generally, the general opinion was it wasn't needed and it was dropped. So come back to SH2OUT. So you've got 2 organisations which aren't about open water swimming solely, British Triathlon and the RLSS, Royal Lifesaving Society, and their 5 main objectives. I'll go through them one point at a time, and I'll try to just quickly explain my concerns and a bit of a background to them, and hopefully I'll cover everything. So first of all, safe venues. When I first heard about SH2OUT, I thought this was all they were going to do, was because a lot of triathletes train in these private bodies of water, primarily down in the south of England, often quarries or water sports centres, and they say they're a publicly recognised quality standard for open water swimming venues. Now, they don't stipulate of this private bodies of water, so immediately I'm think about the Lake District where I live, and there shouldn't be guidelines for open water swimming. Common sense and being aware of any regional, local guidelines is all you need. Now, with these public and private venues, I can see there's some need for, assistance. Perhaps if there's a new venue which doesn't know how it should go about attracting swimmers or what sort of things they should provide. I thought this is already done through NAUCA. Now, NAUCA exists. It's been around for quite a few years now, and that's been providing swim tracker systems for private venues and also trying to help them if they want to start off this very thing. So I'm a little bit confused straight away about it's a bit of a conflict if somebody perhaps muscling in on something that already exists and not just coming along and trying to work with them or support them. And I'll come into this a bit later as well, but I'm also concerned about any guidelines that they bring in about water temperature, which could leak through to other, councils or areas. If they hear that the minimum temperature they've set is, such and such 5 degrees, say, and then they might start to say, well, you can't swim under 5 degrees in another place. So that's a bit of a concern about somebody setting arbitrary guidelines which they're not experienced or have the knowledge about themselves, and that could potentially leak over to somewhere else. So that's my first concern, about safe venues. It seems like a good idea, but there are some ramifications which you need to be aware of. The next one is quality events. Ensuring open water swimming events are delivered to approved standards. Now, big red flag for me, this one. Who standards, who approves, and what knowledge they have. And even just by saying that, they do seem to show a little bit of ignorance, because open water swimming in the UK, it's wide and varied. And you already have different groups, organisations, associations, which already look after open water events. But first of all, open water swimming, the commercial sector is leading the way with open water swimming events in the UK. And that's really what's been driving, one of the reasons the sport's been driven. So let's just go through it. Cold water swimming, ice swimming events. There's already the Ice Swimming Association, International Ice Swimming Association, and there's the International Winter Swimming Association. I've organised cold water swim events before. Under 5 degrees, no wetsuits allowed. Triathlon, I think 11 degrees is the lower limit, and generally triathlon is a wetsuit-based sport. Most events, they wear wetsuits. So straight away, they've got no knowledge on that. There's somebody who already exists in that area. Then you have the British Long Distance Swim Association. They've been around for years and years doing length of lake swims. You've got the Channel Swimming Association and Channel Swimming and Pilot Federation. Equally, they set the standards for these cross-channel swims, which different channels around the world follow their guidelines. So Great Swim, Swim Serpentine, Dart 10K, Chill Swim events, to name but a few, big events, been around for many years and have more knowledge and experience in putting on open water swims than anything that, Triathlon Federation knows about. Then you have Swim England, which is, there is already an existing swimming association federation in this country. And if you're putting on a specific event, so for example, the European Championships that took place in Loch Lomond, there's rules and regulations which are set by FINA, which is the world governing body for swimming. So they set all the competitive, 10K rules and regulations, because it's obviously an Olympic event, and that is what the association follows. And so if you have a competitive event like the European Championships, then they provide the officials for the events, the referees, and the guidelines what that event's going to be run under. So that already exists. And, so I'm not sure how the British Triathlon and RSS are going to compete against all these and bring overreaching guidelines. And what happens if you've got to pay for this to be approved? Some of the small events just won't do it, so it just generally doesn't work when you're trying to do an overreaching arc and trying to encompass everything under one umbrella. So I've got a lot of concerns and questions about that. The next one is a vibrant community. Promoting a compelling offer to all open water swimming participants. That sounds great, but you've already got the Outdoor Swimming Society. When you think about, they've got something like 35,000 followers or people active on the Outdoor Swimming Society website, then there's already community, and they help with communities as well already, you know, groups and organizations if they're trying to set up a small group. So that's already happening. Again, you know, why compete? Inspiring participation, developing a clear and supportive participation pathway, enabling more people to take part in open water swimming. Okay, so I'm just going to very briefly, why I think open water swimming is so popular in the UK. Obviously, it's been around for years and years. You know, Captain Webb, the English Channel. You've got Swim Serpentine Club been going for over 200 years. The British Long Distance Swim Association. But really, open water swimming got popular from, I would say, 2006 to 2009. In that period, in the UK, we had this, I'd like to think of a perfect storm of different activities and things happening. We had David Walliams, British comedian, swim the channel for sports relief. That got a lot of media attention. It got a lot of people thinking, wow, you can still swim the channel. It's not just huge people in goose fat. Caught the public's imagination. That just got things back into the zeitgeist of, you know, swimming in the UK. And then you had Kate Rue brought out a book called Wild Swim. Now that wasn't just about the book itself. You know, Wild Swims, it got into all the broadsheets and press. So the Guardian newspaper, the Telegraph, they're all running these stories about going swimming under waterfalls and high tarns and different secluded swim spots around the coastline. And it made people just aware that, hold on, so it's not polluted anymore. You can swim in rivers again. At the same time, Daniel Start, he had his book Wild Swimming, which was like a guidebook of different places where you could swim around the country. You know, that was a great thing which came along again, got picked up by different newspapers. 2008, we had the Great North Swim, which I at the time I was working for Nova International, which organised the Great North Run, one of the biggest half marathons in the world. And then I said, look, why don't we put on a swim event? And we had the Great North Swim in Windermere. A lot of people said that there was just no appetite for open water swimming. But I really want to pitch it as not at competitive swimmers, not at triathletes, but just a general person in a swimming pool to make them say, look, come and have a go at outdoor swimming. First year, 2,400 people. The next year, 5,000 people. Year after that got to 10,000, I think. So again, the Great North Swim, after that happened, a lot of other events came along and said, wow, we'll do that as well. So that was another thing which happens. We also have the Outdoor Swimmer magazine, which used to be called H2 Open. So that was produced around that time. So people had somewhere to go to and constantly find out about new events and places to swim. Swim Trek had been going from a little bit earlier, about 2006. But again, Swim Trek had been around promoting, you know, these beautiful swims overseas, but they were based in the UK. So that really attracted people. 2008, we also had the Olympics, of course, in Beijing. We had Kerry-Ann Payne, medal, Cassie Patton got a medal, and David Davies got a medal. And of course, to really drive the numbers and the interest in open water swimming, we had the Outdoor Swimming Society, set up by Kate Rue and Carrie Fury. So that just drove so many people just to try the sport, to go for a dip and go for a swim. And the incredible Facebook group and the website, which I've already mentioned. All these things happened around about the same time, in the same sort of period. And I think that really drove the sport of open water swimming. Not triathlon, not even Swim England at the time. This was private commercial organisations or groups or communities which drove the sport. And that is what open water swimming, how it's developed. It's not the triathlon or the RLSS who's driving this and making swimming so accessible. It is all those people I've mentioned. Industry guidance. Now it says here, providing market-leading education, support and advice to the triathlon and life-saving community. So it doesn't mention open water swimming there, although obviously their sort of main mission statement is about open water swimming. So, you know, you can also look at Swim England. We already have a federation for swimming. It exists. And, you know, they also do swim coaching awards. And there's the STA, the Swim Teachers Association. They have an excellent open water swimming qualification, which Kerry-Ann Payne and myself have been involved with to help develop. So when you've got a lot of different things covered, and you know, as I said, swimming is so diverse. It's not just one thing. It's not in one box. It's not like triathlon, which is a type of swim that they understand. You know, it's everything from, you know, swimming in high tarns and winter swimming and sea swimming, and so industry guidance, again, it doesn't work for all those different things. What you have is you've got these different individual groups and organisations that really do drive the sport, and that's what should be supported. So Sport England, they're the ones that should be looking at to see how this sport is growing, and it is growing. The Swim Serpentine this year is going to have over 6,000 people in one day taking part in the middle of London. There's loads of things, great things going on. So this is my concerns. I just want to sort of raise a little bit of awareness that there is this thing called SH2OUT. And, there's other groups and organisations as well. I think I look at open water swimming and think, we can somehow be involved and set guidelines and standards. And, while it works in some specific locations, it's not a general thing. So I think I'll be very careful about how this is said. But as I said, I'm sure the people within SH2OUT are really trying to do a good thing. But as an open water swimming community, let's just take note of this and make sure that the sport continues to grow and flourish and be open and free like it really is at the moment. Okay, that's all for now. Not all my YouTube videos are rants to the camera. Have a look at my other videos. I've got some great videos of open water swimming around the world, interviews with elites and lots of other coaching tips. Thank you very much for listening, and please do subscribe to my YouTube channel.